also been innuendos that she has been or was sexually molested, I can tell you.
A story that is gripping the nation. It is the investigation of the murder of little JonBenét Ramsey.
JonBenét Ramsey murder.
They made up their mind on day one that I killed my daughter.
3 decades on,
You can't comprehend that anybody would be that evil.
it's still unsolved.
The murder of JonBenét Ramsey, a 6-year-old beauty queen found dead in her Boulder, Colorado home on December 26, 1996, remains one of America's most baffling, unsolved cases. Despite extensive investigations and public speculation, the identity of her killer is still unknown. This case, marked by a peculiar ransom note and intense media scrutiny, continues to captivate and confound, highlighting the complexities of solving high-profile crimes.
They made up their mind on day one. And the conclusion was that I killed my daughter.
Do you have more hope now, this year, than you have had in a long time?
This is something we've been trying to get accomplished almost from day one. Get help from the outside.
Patricia Ramsey was a 6-year-old beauty queen who was found murdered in her home in Boulder, Colorado on December 26, 1996. The case became one of the most publicized and controversial murder investigations in American history, capturing the attention of the nation and spawning countless theories and speculations. Despite extensive investigations, the case remains unsolved, and the killer has never been brought to justice. On the morning of December 26, 1996, Patsy Ramsey, JonBenét's mother, found a ransom note demanding $118,000 for her daughter's return. The note was unusually long, handwritten, and found on the stairs inside the Ramsey home. It instructed the Ramseys not to contact the police or friends, but to wait for further instructions. Despite this, Patsy immediately called the police and then friends and family to assist in the search for JonBenét. Police arrived at the Ramsey home shortly after Patsy's call. The house was not sealed off, and friends and family roamed freely, potentially contaminating the crime scene. Around 1 p.m., John Ramsey, JonBenét's father, and a family friend discovered JonBenét's body in the basement. She was covered with a white blanket, with her mouth duct-taped and her wrists and neck wrapped with a cord. A garrote made from a piece of cord and a broken paintbrush was found tied around her neck. The autopsy of JonBenét Ramsey revealed a grim and complex picture of the violence she endured. The primary causes of death were asphyxiation due to strangulation and a severe skull fracture. The strangulation was caused by a garrote, a device made from a piece of cord and a broken paintbrush handle, which had been tightly wrapped around her neck. This indicated a premeditated and brutal attack. In addition to the strangulation and skull fracture, the autopsy found evidence of vaginal injuries. These injuries suggested some form of sexual assault, although there was no conclusive evidence of conventional rape. The exact nature and timing of these injuries remain a subject of debate among experts. The combination of the garrote, the condition of JonBenét's body, and the injuries she sustained indicate that she was subjected to a prolonged and deliberate act of violence. The sequence of events leading to her death, including whether the head injury or strangulation occurred first, remains unclear. This complexity has added to the challenges investigators face in solving the case and understanding the full extent of what happened to JonBenét on that tragic night. The ransom note found in the Ramsey home was 3 pages long and written on paper from a notepad inside the house. The note demanded $118,000, a curious amount, because it was nearly identical to John Ramsey's recent Christmas bonus. Handwriting analysis of the note suggested it could have been written by a female.
What's going on there, ma'am? We got kidnapping. There's a ransom note here. It's a ransom note? Please. Okay, what's your name? Are you Patsy Ramsey? I'm the mother. Oh my God! Please.
However, extensive handwriting tests on Patsy Ramsey and others did not yield conclusive results. The note's content and phrasing were highly unusual and raised suspicions. It mentioned that JonBenét was safe and unharmed, but also contained threats of beheading if the Ramseys did not comply with the instructions. Many experts believe the note was staged, intended to mislead investigators about the nature of the crime. The initial investigation into JonBenét Ramsey's murder heavily scrutinized her family for several compelling reasons. Firstly, there was a lack of evidence indicating forced entry into the Ramsey home, suggesting that the perpetrator was someone with access to the house. Secondly, the ransom note found inside the house was peculiar in both its length and content, raising suspicions about its authenticity and origin. Lastly, JonBenét's body being discovered within the house further fueled suspicions that someone within the household could be responsible for the crime. Patsy Ramsey, JonBenét's mother, became a primary suspect early in the investigation. Her behavior during the initial 911 call was scrutinized, as some perceived her to be unusually calm for a mother reporting her child missing. Additionally, handwriting analysis of the ransom note suggested similarities with Patsy's handwriting, leading some investigators and analysts to theorize that she might have written the note herself. However, despite these suspicions and the intensive media spotlight, no definitive evidence was ever found to conclusively link Patsy to the crime. John Ramsey, JonBenét's father, also faced significant scrutiny. His discovery of JonBenét's body in the basement led to questions about his involvement. The ransom amount demanded, $118,000, was notably similar to John's recent Christmas bonus, adding another layer of suspicion. Critics argued that this detail could indicate an inside job. Despite these concerns, as with Patsy, there was no concrete evidence to connect John Ramsey directly to the murder, and he was never formally charged. Burke Ramsey, JonBenét's 9-year-old brother at the time of her death, was another focus of suspicion.
Your sister over the head with a baseball bat or a flashlight?
Absolutely not.
Burke says he stayed in bed for hours as dozens of investigators and loved ones swarmed the house.
Critics would say you weren't curious because you already knew. He didn't have to get up and go check because he knew exactly what had happened.
I mean, I didn't know if there was some bad guy downstairs my dad was chasing off with a gun.
Some theories posited that Burke might have accidentally killed JonBenét in a fit of rage or jealousy, and that their parents subsequently staged the crime scene to cover it up. This theory was fueled by the presence of Burke in the house during the incident and some psychological evaluations suggesting possible behavioral issues. However, extensive investigations, including interviews and analysis of the available evidence, found no substantial support for this theory. Burke was never formally considered a suspect by law enforcement, and he consistently maintained his innocence. The intense focus on the Ramsey family was compounded by relentless media scrutiny and public speculation. The media often portrayed the Ramseys in a negative light, leading to widespread public belief in their possible involvement. This media pressure arguably influenced the direction and tone of the investigation, sometimes overshadowing other potential leads. Despite the family's repeated declarations of innocence and eventual legal exoneration based on DNA evidence, public suspicion lingered for many years, fueled by the unresolved nature of the case and the numerous theories that continued to circulate. In summary, the focus on the Ramsey family during the initial investigation was driven by a combination of circumstantial evidence, behavioral analysis, and the unique details of the ransom note. Despite the intense scrutiny, no definitive evidence has ever emerged to prove the involvement of any family member in JonBenét's murder. The case remains a deeply troubling and unsolved mystery, with the true events of that night still shrouded in uncertainty. As time passed, the intruder theory gained traction. This theory suggested that someone outside the family had broken into the house and committed the murder. Points supporting this theory include unidentified DNA. DNA evidence found on JonBenét's clothing did not match any family members or known individuals. This suggested the presence of an unknown person. An unidentified footprint was found in the basement near where JonBenét's body was discovered. A broken window in the basement was suggested as a potential entry point for an intruder. Despite these leads, the intruder theory faced challenges due to the lack of conclusive evidence of forced entry and the peculiarities of the ransom note. Over the years, Several individuals have been investigated in the JonBenét Ramsey case. John Mark Carr confessed in 2006 to killing JonBenét, but his confession was discredited when his DNA did not match samples found at the crime scene, and his knowledge of the case was traced to media reports rather than first-hand experience. Bill McReynolds, a local Santa Claus impersonator, had visited the Ramsey house shortly before the murder and was considered a suspect due to his access and interactions with JonBenét, but no evidence linked him to the crime, and he was eventually cleared. The media frenzy surrounding the case was unprecedented. The Ramseys were subjected to intense public scrutiny and were often portrayed negatively in the press. Tabloid coverage was rampant, with numerous speculative and sensationalized stories. This media attention arguably impacted the investigation, contributing to public perceptions and possibly influencing the direction of the inquiry. The Ramseys faced multiple legal challenges and lawsuits over the years. They sued several media outlets for defamation, arguing that the coverage had unfairly painted them as guilty. In 2003, the Ramseys were formally cleared as suspects based on new DNA evidence, although public suspicion lingered. The role of technology, particularly DNA technology, has been significant in the ongoing investigation of JonBenét Ramsey's murder. In 2008, new touch DNA testing methods revealed the presence of unknown male DNA on JonBenét's clothing, leading the Boulder District Attorney's Office to publicly exonerate the Ramsey family. Despite these advancements, the source of the DNA remains unidentified, leaving the case unsolved. The case remains open, with law enforcement periodically reviewing new evidence and leads. In recent years, investigators have focused on utilizing advanced DNA analysis techniques, including genealogy databases, to identify potential suspects. However, as of now, no definitive breakthroughs have been made. The murder of JonBenét Ramsey remains one of the most perplexing and tragic cases in American criminal history. Despite extensive investigations, numerous theories, and advancements in forensic technology, the identity of her killer remains unknown. The case continues to generate interest and speculation, highlighting the challenges and complexities of solving such a high-profile crime. JonBenét's death left a lasting impact on her family, the community of Boulder, and the broader public, serving as a sobering reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring quest for justice. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you all liked it. Feel free to share your thoughts in comment section. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you will never miss any episode of our enthralling series.